Welcome to another episode of Dr. Simone Says. My name is Simone Eastman Yuan. I am a medical doctor with sickle cell disorder. I am also the best-selling author of the books All Rise, The Sickle Cell Community versus the Medical Establishment, and A Doctor in a Patient's Body, Dreaming Big with Sickle Cell Disease and Chronic Pain. These days, I like to spend my time making sure that every sickle cell survivor becomes a sickle cell thriver because it matters that we live well.
All right. So, you ready?
Yes, I am.
How you doing?
I'm good.
You looking good?
Hey, try to impress you.
You're trying to impress me? Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Simone again, and welcome to part 3 of Is Love Possible with Sickle Cell? I know it's been a minute between part 2 and part 3 because, well, you know, sister was up, down, and then up again. Kind of, sort of up again. Do I look sick? I don't look sick, right? I don't look
She
sick.
fakes it real good.
I don't look sick. So, at least I'm vertical today. So, we are going to talk about platonic relationships. So, if you remember, the first 2 parts was, I know we all want to know about the romantic love, but we always have to talk about the other things that contribute to romantic love. They don't look like they're important, but they are. So, part 1 was love of God, because that's where we were coming from, and we talked about, people call God different things in different faiths, but for us to all think that way. And then we talked about love of self, and then this time it's going to be platonic relationships and how those matter, and then we're going to go into romantic relationships. So with
Hold your
that,
horses. I know you guys want to jump there.
I know they want to get to the romantic relationship. It's okay. I understand. So
Bricks.
before we go into the meat of it, I want to read an excerpt from my book. And let me see if I can show you. So it's from my first book, and it's called A Doctor in a Patient's Body, Dreaming Big with Sickle Cell Disease and Chronic Pain. And I'm going to read from chapter 15 of this book, the first couple of pages, and it's entitled Repairing Your Relationships. My people in the struggle, I need to share something with you regarding your friendships. Most of us, by the time we are adults, have a very thinned out support system. We have been sick all our lives and have had to reach out for a helping hand many, many times. Some of us have still managed to continue with a pretty healthy support system around us, even into our 30s and 40s. But many have had a hard time with a waning fan base as we grow older. And here is why. Just by the nature of what has happened to us, we have become takers. We didn't mean it and did not assume this position on purpose. It was gifted to us along with the unpredictable and life-threatening nature of this painful disease. It happened when we least expected it, at very inconvenient times to the people we love. The state of chaos we exist in is usually okay for occasional disasters. But living like this week after week, year after year becomes exhausting. Lovely, well-meaning people who start out willing to help us eventually begin to feel used up in the process, which is no fault of ours, by the way. However, if we do not take some time to reverse the damages our relationships have suffered, these people can suffer burnout slowly and over time, leaving us to fend for ourselves. We may never be able to repay them, but you will need to encourage them on some level. Now, all encouragements are not equal. We need to love up on them in a way best received by each individual supporter. What do I mean by this? The year I read about the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman was a year of such clarity for me. And I'm going to stop there because we are going to get into those 5 love languages. Now, the thing is, most people know those 5 love languages from a more romantic approach. But I have found that they are just as valuable in our platonic relationships. And so we're going to go over some of that and see how you can really nurture your relationships and keep them strong, and also what to look out for. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my husband so he can go through the 5 love languages.
Hi. So the first one that comes to mind is words of affirmation. And I mean, when I think about that, I think of words of encouragement. What is a compliment? You know, remember that everybody has, you know, their own language, their own love language. So whatever is mine may not be yours, and vice versa. So I think for me, the mistake I make is, you know, giving the wrong love language to somebody who I think shares with me, but that may not be the case. So we have to be very thoughtful, very purposeful to get the right reaction, you know, positive reaction. But words of encouragement, work reviews, you know, like yearly job reviews, assessments. People love to be acknowledged in their accomplishments, you know, whatever ideas, good ideas they bring to the table. So share those things with people. It definitely picks them up. And even you could even share that with your medical team. You know, for those of you who are who go to the hospital quite a bit. I mean, of course, we're talking to sickle cell warriors and caregivers. Remember to use uplifting words to your nurses, to your doctors. You know, sometimes it can be frustrating, but believe me, it goes a long way when a nurse, you know, hears, "Thank you. I see you're making a great effort, you know, to get me better. Thank you. I see your hard work." That could turn their day around. And if not for, you know, other patients, but for you, their treatment of you will improve, or can improve. Most likely, it's going to improve, you know, than, you know, if you did not share any words of encouragement, words of affirmation with them. Same thing with your doctor. So let's keep that in mind. We all have our circle of friends and acquaintances, and I believe that those languages, or this language, will go a long way in bringing much positivity and better health, emotional health, you know, to us, you know, in life.
That's really good. Really good, especially with tying it in with doctors and nurses. See, with the 5 love languages, each person has their main love language. And so you could have more than one. So most times people have like a top 2. They don't realize it, but they have about a top 2. Some people even have a top 3. And it's not that all of these, you know, there'll be one that doesn't apply to them at all. It's just in priority,
yes,
in the
in
order
degrees.
of priority, right? So just because somebody's love language isn't like gifts, doesn't mean that they won't, you know, light up if you give them a gift. It just may not mean the same thing as if gift was their love language. And so with Anakin, when he says, you know, that talking to people, how we talk to people matters, it really does. And their love language may be words of affirmation, and we don't know. We don't know when we meet people what their love language is, but you can often test people. Like, there are times when I will say, gosh, you're really working hard. It's been a really busy shift. And you can literally see them brighten up just by you saying something encouraging, like, I see you working so hard. You know, people just want to be acknowledged for what they're doing. Even if that's not their primary love language, it could be their second love, their second, number two, or it comes in number three, but it's making an impact. And so for someone, it might be number three. For someone, it might be number two. For someone, it might be number one. But guess what? You're making an impact with all of them. And so, knowing that anybody could have any love language, and that they have a main one, but any one that you display is helpful, is something you want to keep in mind.
Your situation in the hospital, your various admissions. Over the years, Simone has she's developed a reputation for being a good patient, you know, to the medical staff, you know, the nurses in particular, because nurses are going to see you more often, you know, run the vitals, tests in and out of your room. You know, the doctor just comes once or twice a day to do the rounds, but she's in the habit of paying compliment to the nurses, you know. Even one time, or a few times, she was stuck about, you know, a dozen times trying to find a vein in her. At one point, I think they had to go, you know, to the neck.
Yeah, to my dread.
Yeah, and she was in pain, and they kept on saying, I'm sorry for poking again, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay. I know you're just trying to do your job. I know you're trying, you know, it's okay. But that made a big difference. And I would see the way they would respond to some people, to some of them, they haven't heard that in a long time, that they well up in tears, you know, just being to hear.
That has happened.
Yeah, just to hear an encouraging word from a patient, you know. I mean, people could say whatever they want to say about patients, but for a patient to be a giver, it's unusual, you know. It's unusual. Unfortunately, yeah. So we could learn that, you know, they will pick up their pace, you know, to attend to you, you know, they'll go the extra mile.
Yes.
You know, they've gone the extra mile for her, again, not because she's a doctor, you know, believe it or not. Because actually when she goes into the hospital, she doesn't disclose, you know, that she is a physician. You know, she just goes in kind of like undercover, but, you know, eventually her language gives her away, the way she speaks. So that they will treat her like a patient and respond, you know, favorably because of what she has to offer in terms of positivity, encouragement. That's what comes to mind. The second one is acts of service. For those of you, I think this tends to apply to, you know, to women, to mothers, you know, so mothers, wives, you want chores to be done. You know, you want help, you want relief, you know, around the house in particular. And so for somebody to get on your good side is, hey, taking out the trash, or, you know, cleaning the dishes, you know, or cleaning the house.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah.
I love my friends that come over and help me do laundry. I tell you. Oh, let me not tell you how much I love people that come over and help me out and lessen my load. Ooh.
Yeah. So I mean, actually, without saying that's her number one love language.
Yes.
You know, acts of service. So whatever it is, and if you find yourself to be, you know, constrained, you know, in expressing this love to a friend, a family member, you know what? Hook them up. Your network of, I know somebody.
Yes.
I know somebody who can help you, or it could be, a job, kind of like extra information about a certain job that you're applying for. Yeah, it's still an act of service.
Yes.
And it will go a long way, to strengthen that relationship, over time.
I actually think of what I do when it comes to acts of service. So yes, it's my love language, because I think it comes from the fact that, when I'm sick, I'm limited physically, and then I feel like I'm getting left behind. The world is moving on without me. So when someone comes and lends a helping hand, that's huge for me. I also pass that on to my friends. So I may be physically limited, and this is something you want to think about too. You may be physically limited, but you may have more resources than another friend with sickle cell, let's say. And this is something that I do a lot. I have friends with sickle cell in my area that from time to time will need something, and I have hooked them up with my friends, my very active, able-bodied friends, to say, okay, if you ever need to go to the ER, call this person, or if you ever need somebody to take you to the supermarket, call this person, or and most of these people individually, they're not getting hit up all the time. Oftentimes those are not the same people I will call just to spread things out. But I have more resources than most people, so I use those resources to help my friends because I'm not physically able to help them. And a lot of those people that help actually love helping, and they see it as like kind-hearted that I even ask them to help someone else and not myself. So they actually take it completely differently from the way you would think. So make sure to utilize those resources.
The next one is receiving gifts. That's a love language. Actually, when I came upon the concept of love languages, I'm like, that's a language, But hey, to each his own. And but yeah, people love receiving gifts. At least they are on a high when they receive one. It could be the simplest of gift, a handmade gift. It doesn't have to be something you buy from the store. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just shows that you're being thought of. Mm-hmm. It could be a gas card, like maybe a $10 gas card. Hey, you never know. It just helps. Card or a store card. Whatever it is, the main thing is that somebody was thinking about you.
Yes.
And just trying to lift you up, at that very moment. So that is a love language. And again, solidifying our support system, our circle of friends and acquaintances. And those acquaintances could end up becoming friends, because of the language, the right language that we speak to them.
Maybe even romantic friends. Right. When it comes to receiving gifts, I really don't pay much attention to how big or small the gift is. What more sticks out is how much maybe it makes my life easier. I will be really super grateful for that. But more is, the fact that someone went out of their way and that they thought of me and that they had to go wrap a gift and mail a gift, and like that means the world to me. Like it really doesn't matter the price of the gift so much as it is that someone thought of me. And so by the way, let me put in my plug now. November 12th is my birthday. I'm turning 50.
Yeah, the big 50. Big 50.
Let's get there first. Let's get there.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Let's get there first.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to me giving gifts to people, I just try to be creative. I don't always have the means to, give somebody a big gift. And the truth is, most people who like receiving gifts, it really is the thought that counts, and they know where you're coming from. They know your financial situation. When they see that gift, they will know that it meant something to you, that it costs, you something, whether it's energy or putting it together, that it costs you something. And they're going to be, and it may not be money, but that it costs you something. And so they're going to be appreciative of that. So don't hold back just because you don't have the money. Give whatever you can.
Yes. Oh, FYI, I get tickled when I get something regarding my favorite soccer team in England. Ooh. But
Manchester United.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, because I know that some of us can get very tribal in our soccer, fandom. But you know what? Don't hate, no. But I love Manchester United, so goes through the roof. I love Scrabble, but anyway, carry on. The main thing is speaking the right language to the right person, and making sure that your support system, your circle of friends is healthy and they can support you as well. Be a giver just as you're being a taker, in a healthy way. I mean, we're all being helped, to make sure that we're nurtured to better health.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's the next one?
The next one is quality time. The time you spend, with your loved ones, your friends, make it qualitative. And for that's the higher up for me. I love hanging out with her, she may, drive me up the wall, but say, hey babe, come on.
Cause trouble. It's good trouble though. It's good trouble.
Good trouble.
Anyway,
yeah. I just come back, just hang out,
But now we're going into like romantic, because we're not
not
friends
really romantic
anymore, right? We don't cross.
Okay,
the line,
okay, all right, yeah. I think, maybe we're gonna cross it.
Yeah.
But hey, spending time with friends,
like your friend, you did Zoom time. With
Zoom
your
time,
friends.
yeah. For instance, like during this pandemic that we're in, I have friends. I mean, we're from California, and I miss my friends, and they say, what? Let's have a Zoom hangout. And think of things like that. Making time for each other. Making time for each other. Whether you have to schedule it or it's spontaneous, whatever works for you. That goes a long way, again, in nurturing your support system, making it healthy. And in turn, you will be in a healthier place, at least emotionally and maybe physically. Hopefully, prayerfully, physically, you will be in a much better place. So quality time is another love language.
And something Anakin says, I think, bears repeating. It, especially now in the pandemic, we have social distancing and whatever, but quality time with someone can be over the phone. Just being able to spend that time and ask people questions, ask how they're doing, and take the time to really listen is huge. I mean, honestly, I think that's what the quality time is for people, is just knowing that they're listened to. And so you can do that, you can do that anytime.
The last language, which happens to be up there, my number one, physical touch. The more comfortable, familiar I am with you, you're going to be touched. Either face, shoulder, high, guy or girl. That's my language. And people love to be tactile. Stimulation. So if somebody comes up to you and just wants to put their arm around you or whatever, just some contact, it does something for them. It does something for you. Again, whatever will help you be healthier, be stronger, be in a better frame of mind than you were before, and to help your circle of support.
And you said it's helpful for them, but I think that even when it's not helpful, or you don't feel like it's, let me just say it that way, even if you don't feel like it's helpful for you, because that's not up there
It's
as
not
far
up
as
there,
my
yeah.
love languages.
It's not. I just think I'm a 5.
That's terrible. Oh my gosh. Should we scratch that part of the video? Oh my gosh. Anyway, yes. That's not my first. But I realize that it's other people's first, right? And see, the whole point is nurturing my support system and just people around me in general, right? And so I recognize that it means a lot to them. And so when I realize that they are that kind of person, and of course I'm really respectful up until I kind of realize that they're that kind of person, because otherwise I know people very, very much value their, private zone around them. But if I realize that that's meaningful to them, I will go out of my way to just be out of myself and giving to them. A lot of times people just like, you holding their arm, like you can just hold arms, or giving them a hug, or sometimes it's just giving them a massage or combing through their hair. People just feel loved in those ways. I can't relate to that, but it doesn't mean it's not important. So I try really hard to be giving in that way.
Think about the person close to you. If you're a caregiver, in this case, what are you in touch with the love language of the person that you're caring for? Your child, or the loved one, a spouse, or relative. Physical touch could be their love language. So it's not so much about you running errands for them. It's not about you reminding them of whatever pills they need to take, or, whatever appointments. When was the last time you touched them? Kind of like give them a hug, and they're just waiting. It's like, wow, daddy hugged me today, or mommy hugged me today. It's like, wow, I love that. They may not say it, but just be tuned in to their response. My friend's daughter came to spend the night with us, and then she just came, gave me a hug, and she just said, "I miss your hugs." I'm like, surely you're being hugged. I mean, you have friends and all that. It's like, no, you hug well. And I'm like, okay. And I have to be okay with that. Okay with what a reputation or whatever it is. I'm like, okay, cool. However that encourages you, amen. And the point is, remember the people that you are caring for, or the people who are caring for you, caring for you. Hey, it may not be just, oh, thank you mom, thank you dad, thank you cousin for taking care of me. It could be, come over here, a hug. Never know how important that is, how special it is, how much of a blessing it is to them. Now, for those who may struggle with, a bad history, just be prayerful. Again, that's what we started with, God, loving God, and the dictates of God. Because I know that we live in a dark world, a perverted world, but hopefully you can take the positives from this language and apply them to your circle of support.
Well said. Well said. So I wrote down a couple of just things that I wanted to make sure that I covered, and so a couple of them that I haven't addressed is just remembering that those platonic relationships are your community, and that they shape a lot of things, including finding the love of your life, right? Because oftentimes it's a friend of a friend. Anakin was a friend of a friend. And if she did not value me well or didn't think well of me, I don't think that she would want to say, oh, let's have you go out on a blind date with my friend, because she loved, but she loves Anakin. Anakin is her friend. And so it's important. So she valued Anakin, and she valued me, and so she put us together. If people don't leave that, that's the romantic part. That's part 4. So be aware of the fact that even as you are giving to your community, that community one day will, it will mean, it might matter more than you realize, like with respect to your romantic relationships in the future, or even a job, when people have to give references, or speak well of you, give you letters of recommendation, those sorts of things. It matters how you treat people, and that will be reflected in those references or recommendations, or someone telling you about a good job, or in their department. They don't want you in their department if they don't think of you as a nice person. So they might tell you they ain't no jobs. But if you are nourishing, and they perceive you as a healthy person in that area, they're more likely to go out on a limb for you. And even as you are giving and nourishing and all of those things, you should be expecting that your friends are respecting you as well, your friends and family. And this is important because I know that when we are sick, we can often be victimized by friends and family. And so you need to know that if people are doing that, or you just want to be aware that if people are doing that, that it's not worth it, and you just let them walk. And I hate to say this, but this could be even very close family members. Sometimes it may be that you need a little bit of distance between you two so that you can repair things. And always work towards forgiveness, but you can't be in a proximity to where it's actually hurting you emotionally, physically, or spiritually. And so just, keep in mind that even as you are nourishing your friendships, you want to make sure that you are being nourished as well. And this is not like a tit for tat thing, guys. It's not like, oh, let me do this for this person because, I may need something from this person. In fact, most of the people that we have in our community, in our circle of friends that we give to the most, they are not in a position to give anything back. Certainly not anything, of financial value or any of that sort of stuff. But that's not why we do it. And so your motivation does have to be in the right place. It has to be a healthy motivation, and that's just to take care of your friends. All right, I hope that this was helpful again, and I hope that that we will get a chance, not in the not so distant future, to round it up with part 4, which is romantic love. And until then, you guys take care and have an awesome evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Until next time, this is Dr. Simone Says, and remember, you are a sickle cell thriver and not just a survivor. If you benefited from this episode any at all, please like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with one other person as your good deed towards the sickle cell cause. Have a great day. If you would like to contact me to speak in your area, please don't hesitate to email me at drSimoneSays@gmail.com. If you are the one referring me, please let me know so that I could send you a nice thank you surprise.